This is LYIS TV, where we let the world hear your leadership voice. I'm your host, Tanya Glare, and I'm today happy to introduce my guest, Caroline King, independent educational consultant and qualified executive coach, fellow of the Chartered College of Teaching, UK. Hi, Caroline. Great you are here with us today.
Thank you, Tanya. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So, as a parent who has been living internationally for the last 10 years, I have seen quite a number of schools. The head teacher of one of these schools personally greeted students every morning at the school gate and gave them a high five. So, the students at another school, though, attended lessons wearing slippers. These might seem like a very small things, but they make a big difference, and I still remember them. So, today we are focusing on an aspect that is just as important as academic achievements in school. It's a school culture. So, Caroline, why is establishing a strong school culture crucial from the very beginning?
Okay, so thank you again, Tanya, for the invite and allowing me to share my insights today. So school culture is incredibly important for all stakeholders within the school community to feel welcome, secure, and safe. When environments are set up in a way where people can feel comfortable and confident, then children thrive. And that's ultimately what we want within schools. Ultimately, it's remembering the decisions are about the children. That's our first and foremost priority. So when school culture is set up in a strong and established way, is maintained consistently, staff are clear about expectation, and that is staff at all levels, because everyone has a part to play in the school culture, and ultimately ensures that young people are being taught in a holistic and positive way so that they can carry those positive lessons forward, as you say, not just through academia, but how they are in the world and how they become as young people.
So, what happens when a school culture is left to shape itself without clear direction?
Well, what you get is many cooks making a broth, which isn't always tasteful. You know, it will become that there are too many voices, sometimes voices that are perhaps present for self-absorbed reasons or for self-gain, and again, forgetting what the calling is when one chooses to work in education and chooses to work and shape young minds. So having contributions are really important. How we establish the school culture isn't just the responsibility of the board or the principal or the head. It really is a shared understanding, a shared vision, but also that does need to be communicated strongly and consistently, regularly, so that people do understand, and it can take shape and it can take hold. And it's ever evolving, but the core of the business must be communicated well.
So, and what are the main challenges in shaping a school culture, especially in a diverse or international school setting?
Yeah, I would say turnover in an international school setting would probably be one of the main challenges. How, you're getting school people coming in on sort of 2-year contracts, sometimes less than this. So having something established and what you stand for it's really important that that is communicated clearly, as I say, regularly and throughout, not just at the beginning of the school year or the beginning of school terms, and actually that culture is what one has to walk every day. It's not neglecting those good mornings and expecting people to reciprocate. It's not ignoring behaviors that you don't want to see. It's about being brave, and it's about standing for what you really believe in as a school leader. And with that turnover, you probably have to work even harder at articulating that, because if there is a gap, people will just fill it with their own version of the culture.
Interestingly, you mentioned that you have to communicate well, you have to be present and visible, and you have to notice the things which are going wrong. So very often, some people might just think that's easy, just go and do my business. Whatever happens in the corridor, for example, yeah, I'm just busy. I have my lesson, so I'm just going. It's okay. It's okay. We'll handle it later. So when we do that, so what happened next?
So when we do that, that sort of apathy permeates through the organization. And when apathy permeates through an organization, it has an impact on pupil and staff well-being. I would say both, because what you do have is you have the grounding of people who really believe in that vision and that culture, working really hard to push it forward. But then the apathy starts to drag that enthusiasm down. And when you have staff that you could almost say turn a blind eye to things that are happening in the corridor or aren't confident, interacting with pupils, then it impacts pupils because they start to not feel invested in, and they start to feel that, well, if nobody's noticing the good and the bad, then what am I making an effort for? So that's crucial.
You also mentioned this quality, like personal quality, like brave. You have to be brave, you said. It's really important to be brave. And speaking of other qualities, what kind of personal soft skills, including soft skills, you look for in staff to ensure they align with the school's vision and culture?
Yeah, I would say compassion is a really key quality that, just particularly that I'm seeing at the moment. Practitioners who are compassionate about the context, have a real deep understanding of what they are going into to work with and serve, invariably build up really positive relationships with the school community. I would say being passionate about what you do. I think particularly in the international context, people make the choice to travel through their work for a myriad of reasons, but actually, it's a moment in time that you have a real opportunity to impact the community and impact young people. So that should be treated as something really treasured, right? So to be passionate about what you do, to be optimistic, because the backdrop, for various reasons, again, can sometimes get very challenging. So sometimes you really have to push through, and your ethics have to be really strong. You have to know what you stand for, what you will tolerate, and when it's not okay, how you can navigate that so that you're okay as a person. Because if you're okay as a person, then what you are able to give out and what you're able to lead with, leads to an authenticity, but it also builds trust with the people that you're working with, because they get a real sense of you as a person, and you bring yourself to the role first. You don't bring the title first, you know.
And you've also mentioned that you have to also notice when something is negative and something is positive. You have to really talk about it, and you have to tell people you are doing so great today. So why it's important to be encouraging?
I think it's not only important to say you're doing great today, but to be really specific. So if you are, make a decision, for example, that you want all of the people in school, and I say people, including the children and the adults, to greet by name. You notice when somebody does that with a child who may not be in their class, like they've made an extra effort, for example, to learn, a child in a different group, and be like with children, be specific about the praise, because being specific about praising the things that you want to see, again, allows you to reinforce that culture. We value you as a person, so you have a name, I have a name, we use that, you know um so just being really really specific. It was great that you were out on time a couple of minutes before duty today. Your children were supervised. It meant that all the other teachers knew their children were going to be safe, and they were able to have their adequate break. Being specific, I think, is really important in that praise, because likewise, when you have to have the difficult conversation and you're going into the detail of what somebody maybe hasn't done, it can be received in a more balanced and open way because you're using the same frame of language. And the frame of language is, this is what we're really aiming for and this is what we really want. There's no ambiguity about that. And when it's articulated positively and negatively, you build trust.
That's a very important point. Thank you, Caroline. We'll carry on talking in the next chapter. Please like this video and subscribe, if not yet. This is LYIS TV, where we'll let the world hear your leadership voice. Leading Your International School is an international school leadership consultancy and member organization. We support school principals and those who aspire to become one with mentoring, training, and ongoing professional development.